What's up, Laker Nation? We have some breaking news here on the Lakers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham from my house because we had to get you this trade alert. The Los Angeles Lakers have made a trade for Patrick Beverley, who is with the Utah Jazz, comes over to the Lakers. He, of course, was a part of that big Rudy Gobert trade that sent him from Minnesota down to Utah. But now he is in Los Angeles. The Lakers trade Talen Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson to Utah to get him. No picks involved. So Los Angeles gets one of the best defensive-minded guards in the National Basketball Association in Patrick Beverley. A lot to react to here, a lot to dive into here on tonight's show. So before we do all of that, please hit that subscribe button here on the Lakers Report, because whether we are in the studio, whether it's me, Chase Sr., anyone else at the Chat Sports Studios, we're going to have you covered with the latest Lakers news and rumors. And when big trades like this happen, we're going to hit you guys with the videos. So go ahead and subscribe, turn on those notifications, trying to get to 50,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN initially broke the news that the Lakers would be trading for Patrick Beverley, sending Talen Horton-Tucker, Stanley Johnson to Utah. Shams jumped in there, confirmed the trade, and then Woj said it would be finalized tomorrow. So you add Patrick Beverley to the mix, and we'll talk about who you're getting first, then kind of talk about who's exiting here in a little bit. But in Patrick Beverley, he brings so many things to the table that you can't really measure with statistics. If you want to talk statistics, here were the numbers last year. 9.2 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 40% from the field, 34.3% from three. Nothing special, right? But what he brings is experience, defensive intensity, an absolute dog, and quite frankly, a nightmare to go up against. No one likes playing against this guy. This is the ultimate player of when he's on your team, you love having him. You really, really do, because he's a winning player. When you go up against him, he's a freaking pest. You cannot stand the guy, but now the Lakers have him on their side, and quite frankly, they needed a player like this, because last year, I didn't see this team play with enough attitude. I didn't see this team play with enough fight, with enough ambition. And you know what Patrick Beverley has done in his career? He's played in 10 NBA seasons for 3 franchises. The Rockets for 5 years, the Clippers for 4, and the Timberwolves last year. You know how many times he's made the playoffs in 10 years? 10 times. He's 10 for 10. He has never missed the postseason in his career. And yes, that includes freaking Minnesota last year. I don't think that's a coincidence, folks. This guy is an absolute gamer on what he brings to the table from an intangible standpoint, the defensive intensity, just from an overall aura within a basketball team. This is a big win for LA. This is a big deal, believe me on that. So do you like the trade? Let me know in the comments. Type L for like, type D for dislike. Again, it's Patrick Beverley to LA for Stanley Johnson and Talen Horton-Tucker to Utah. L for like, D for dislike. If you get hit with the YouTube ad break, scroll on down right now and reply to the pinned comment. I love the trade. I don't just like it. I love it. I just think when I watched the Lakers last year, and I watched this team play just about every single night, they just didn't have intensity. They would check out of games. I mean, how many times when we look up in the third quarter, they're down 22 points and they're just checked out? Pat Beverley is not going to stand for that. I mean, there's a few players in this league that just have this attitude and this dog mentality of, hey, I don't care what people are saying about us. We're going to play to win every single game. I mean, PJ Tucker's like that, for example. Pat Beverley is that type of player. I mean, he will take on any single challenge. He is not afraid. This is a guy that had to start his career overseas and has worked his way into being a renowned name in the NBA. He really, really is. He is that guy across the league. And I stand by what I said earlier. When he's not on your team, he's a pain in the ass. He really, really is. But for LA now, they get a defensive menace that can either start or come off the bench. He'll knock down an occasional corner three, but most importantly, he is going to ramp up this team's intensity, especially on the defensive end. And that is something Darvin Ham has been preaching since he got this job. Got to get better on defense. Got to lock in on defense. He's talked about that with Russell Westbrook. Got to commit to playing on the defensive side of the court. And now you've got a great defensive guard that can guard ones, twos, and threes. When he gets switched onto bigs, he's not going to back down. This is a huge win. I'm fired up for this deal for Patrick Beverley to come to Los Angeles. You start thinking about where he could fit in. If Russell Westbrook is still going to be here, I would expect him to start. Does Beverley start with him in the backcourt? Does he come off the bench? I think Ham's going to have some different options. We'll have to wait and see what he envisions his role for Patrick Beverley. What do you guys think? Do you think Patrick Beverley will be a starter or a backup? Type S for starter, or you can type B for backup. Let us know in the comments down below on that one. Reminder, hit that subscribe button. We will continue to bring you videos on a daily basis here at the Lakers Report, so go ahead and subscribe. Okay, let's talk about the other side of the trade, because obviously there's other sides to trades. Talen Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson, I'll get this out of the way quickly. Played admirably down the stretch for LA last year, I will say that, but let's be real too. This was not a long-term piece for Los Angeles. I do think this time last year, a year ago, the Lakers felt like Talen Horton-Tucker was. Remember, the Lakers turned down a Talen Horton-Tucker centered deal for Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline 2 seasons ago. They valued THT that much. They thought he was a big part of their future. He just didn't take that step this past year. I'll pull up the numbers real quick for Talen Horton-Tucker, but he just did not progress in the way that they wanted him to. 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago, he averaged 9 points per game on 46% from the field, 28% from three. He's not really been a three-point shooter, but 46% from the field. You're thinking, okay, efficient, played in 65 games, 20 minutes a game, came off the bench. Last year, in 25 minutes per game, started more games, 41.5% from the field. Three-point shot goes down too. Yeah, he averaged 10 points per game compared to 9, but he took a step backwards. He did not take a step forward. So I think the Lakers this offseason were saying, look, we got to be willing to trade Talen Horton-Tucker if we can maximize this roster right now. Because LeBron James, who just signed a 2-year extension, you're trying to win right now. And THT proved last year that he's not necessarily a win-now piece. 2, 3, 4 years from now, could he be? Yeah, he could. But you know who is a win-now piece? Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley, I just told you guys, has been in the playoffs 10 years out of 10. Now, I'm not just saying, oh, you trade for Beverley, you're locked to make the playoffs. I'm not saying that, but the facts are what they are. He is a winning component. That is a simple fact. He always has been. He annoys opponents. He plays with attitude. He plays with intensity. He thinks he's better than he is, and in his case, it benefits him. I think certain players around the league who think they're better than they are, it's actually a hindrance. You know who's a good example of that? Russell Westbrook. Something that holds Westbrook back is he always thinks he's the best player on the court. And at points in his career, that was true, but he still thinks that, and that causes him to play hero ball. That's a bad thing. But in Beverley's case, he thinks he can shut down anybody, and that attitude helps him tremendously. Like, it really, really benefits him because he doesn't back down from anybody. He doesn't back down from a challenge as well. And what'll be really interesting, too, is he played for the Clippers for a long time, and we saw last year when the Timberwolves played the Clippers in the playoffs, he took that very, very personally in that play-in game and helped shut those guys down. You don't think he's going to be motivated to play at Crypto.com Arena against the Clippers 4 times a year? Yeah, baby. He's going to be fired up to go up against Kawhi, Paul George, and those boys over there. So, LA rivalry, it's going to be fascinating, but we all know who runs LA. It's the Lakers. Type LAL if you know who runs Los Angeles. It ain't the Clippers. It ain't LAC. It's LAL. But listen, this is a good thing, guys. I'm not saying this is the final piece. I still think there could be movement here. But in recent days with Kevin Durant recommitting to Brooklyn, it kind of felt like the Kyrie thing could be dead here. So you got to pivot. If you're Los Angeles, you get Patrick Beverley, a win-now player. We're going to see what happens with Russ. At this point, I think you got to feel like he's going to be here. You hope he can play controlled basketball, because when he plays under control, he can still be a good player. He just doesn't do it often enough. Hopefully bringing Beverley on board is going to help these rotations out, because you just needed another reliable piece. And Patrick Beverley is absolutely a reliable piece for the Los Angeles Lakers. So you got Beverley, 10 for 10 making the playoffs. Are the Lakers a lock to make the playoffs now? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let me know down in the comment section below. Will LA make the playoffs? Y for yes and for no. Let us know in the comments. And hit that subscribe button. We're signing off here on the Lakers Report. I'm Harrison Graham. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.